Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you had a good Father's Day. Excuse me. I just went on a walk with my dad. Um, it was all right. I'm not doing so well, but I know why though. By the, I should probably intro with what my thing is first, right? Um, this is gonna be. I've done this before, but I'm gonna do it again. It's quicker and more in order of when the rapture will take place, meaning when the Lord Jesus Christ is going to take us in the clouds. Okay, I don't believe in the pre-tribulation rapture. There's there is we go through tribulation, but be comforted but at what I'm going to tell you, because you will be. We are in tribulation now. If you don't think we're in tribulation, I would like to know what it's called, because what's happening right now, everything since Ukraine, and especially Ukraine, everything, excuse me, when you really look at it, when you see what happened in 2020, what they did, take this, shut up, take this shot, shut up, right? And we're not liable for any stuff it does to you. And I'm one of those people. I do believe it was myocarditis that happened to me, but I had my heart imaged only about a year, more than a year afterwards. My heart was pounding for at least a couple weeks really hard. Huge rash on my chest. Anyways, I had an allergic reaction, and I ended up with a rare gallbladder disorder. It's like 1 in 250,000 in men. That's why you see me very irritable on here sometimes. But anyways, so you get it, right? That's where it all began. It spread over the world. I believe that's the first seal. That's just my interpretation. I'm going to go through this because what I'm saying is scriptural. I'm not going to say anything that's not scriptural, which is very important. And to say, well, look at the wars that are happening right now. Looks like Hezbollah is going to probably go all out pretty soon. You never know what will happen with North Korea. You never know what's going to happen with Iran. In my interpretation, they have the bomb. All they've ever done is trick people, okay? Trick people in deals with, governments, our governments and their government. They've always fooled us. You look at Europe and the way that they're treating Russia and the States, and 500,000 dead. That's just Ukrainians alone. And then the Russians, it could be up to 200,000. And you see what's happening. The whole Middle East. By the way, they said the Taliban have said we are ready to send as many fighters as we have to you. Anyways, I don't want to dwell on the news. That's not what I'm doing here. What the heck would you call this is what I would say. There's so much more to this. And why is it different than another time? I studied World War II. I know World War II, World War I, Vietnam War. I know all of them. And why is this different? Because we have biblical signs, and they're coming every single day. They're threatening nuclear war every single day. Not only that, but they're putting ships right. You could say there's always subs that could be, who knows, a mile or two offshore. That's true. But the fact that they put it in another country, 90 miles from us, gives a message. It's not a good message. People are blinded to what is coming on this earth. People are the cost of living is horrific. The cost of items in the grocery store are really bad. And there are so many, I'm going to call them thieves, that people like Loblaws in Canada, your grocers, they're responsible for putting that up. Not completely, but they gouge. And I know that God will have his way with those types of people. Those are the types of people that is going to say what it says here in the sixth seal. I'm going to start here, but I heard an amazing analogy just before, I was just watching a video. I heard an analogy I'd never heard before. Listen to this. When I was on my walk with my dad, I was thinking I always think about, my brother was always my best friend. And I don't know about you. Do you ever get that feeling you're kind of annoyed at them, that they won't even believe anything? You have a family member that's, if they're atheists, if they don't believe in anything. But you still pray though, right? One thing that's different about my channel, I'm going to say that quote in a sec. Please pray for my brother. Guys, please pray for all my brothers, because they're not saved. I'll pray for a family member. I'll look in the comment section later. What was I going to say? I live a very irritable life. What do I mean by that? It's not I don't have a psychological problem with being irritable. It may appear that way if you're with me sometimes. It's only a reflection of 4 different pain disorders in my abdomen. It's hard to live by. I'm still in the depths of a kidney stone, and this is like day 4. It keeps changing, and I believe I have acalculus, which means I can get kidney colic without, I just have to eat something, and then I get, like crushing in my kidney area. But I also have a lot of stones too, and I believe I developed a website. I'm already done, and that's why I developed it, because I was developing that website. So let's take a look at this. I was going to say the comment first. There are times where I know I could say something really funny, and I don't. I try to keep back. I really do. Why do I do that? Because I realized something in my journey with Christ. Paul would say the same thing, and Paul did say it. He was talking about coarse joking and jesting and stuff like that. And if you lived a life like me, where you were, like I was like in my, let's just say from 13 to 25 or something, always around a group who's smoking weed, and when you're around people, they're always joking and stuff like that, and nobody really ever gets anywhere. I'm not saying don't have humor. What I'm saying is, I think you understand me. How are you ever going to get serious if all you ever do is joke? That's one way I started taking off my life, other than God helping me with that. Nothing wrong with joking. But when all it is that, then, where is the creating? Where is the depth? So the saying goes like this. You may want to write this down. I'm serious, so you remember it. I'd never heard this before. The closest to hell that a believer, so you and I, will ever get is earth. Is this earth? The closest a non-believer will ever get to heaven is earth. Because non-believers will suddenly find themselves out of the presence of the protection of God. They'll be completely absent of His love. And that's called hell. Please pray for my family, my brother. My dad is saved. Please pray for my brothers. And the thing is, you know what I did? I'll get to this. You can always fast forward. I tried to present what was happening to each one of my brothers, and I know they can see what's starting to occur. It wasn't as if I didn't predict this to them because I saw all the signs. But I called each one of them. One hung up on me. The other one didn't accept it, but one of them listened to me. I read Matthew 24 to him. And the thing is like, you feel like you have them, right? Like, you hear this, right? Eyes to see, ears to hear. And it's like, you know when they say, like, I've made my peace with God? Well, maybe they don't understand that that's not the way it works. You know, pray for them to suddenly see a different light. Just because, you know what? To say that that can't happen is to say that God can't do anything he wants. So, let's take a look at this. So I see the way I fell into this, that I know the truth now, was by the sixth seal. The sixth seal is the answer to separate what tribulation and what wrath is by what it says in the last sentences. So look at this. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. So we're waiting for this. And there's many denominations that believe all the seals were into the trumpets. No, we're not. We're in the seals. And the question to me is, like, are we in the famine? Because it looks like Pitha has been taken from the earth, and there will continue to be more of it. Great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth. Some people say this was Lisbon. It's not Lisbon, the earthquake. As a fig tree drops its late figs when it's shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll. Could that be a nuclear bomb when it's rolled up? Because when a bomb goes off, go look on YouTube, go look up thermonuclear, go look at it. You'll see the sky recedes when it goes off, and mountains move out of their place. But it may not be. I'm not saying that it is, but it looks like it could be. And every mountain island was moved out of its place. And the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, commanders, mighty men. Looks like we're at that point. Every slave, free man hid themselves in the caves and the rocks of the mountains. They have all these bunkers. There's probably 1 million bunkers out there. There's probably more if you consider, there's probably a couple or a few million if you consider people making their own. Said to the rocks and the mountains, fall on us. Is that a coincidence? They hid themselves in the caves, and in the rocks of the mountains. Wow, because they're digging in them far. Fall on us and hide us from the wrath. From the face of him who sits on the. So here's the answer. On the throne from the what? This is the first time we hear this so far. The wrath. So, wow, okay. The wrath is coming. The wrath is here. This is what it says. For the great day of the Lord. For the great day of his wrath, the Lord has come. And who is able to stand? So that says right there, that is absolute proof that separates what the tribulation was. Because, you know, what is someone going to say is the tribulation now? If they don't say it's the seals, they're not looking at Scripture correctly. So we have the answer right here. So let's look a bit further, though. So go look at Joel 3. Joel 3 reflects this, and Isaiah also reflects this. You know, where the light becomes dark, the sun, the moon, and the stars. So they coincide with one another. What they're writing is the same thing. I think it may be in Luke too, but I'm not sure. And if you doubt that 2020 had and the virus had nothing to do with the beginning of like the white horse to conquer, what do you call 200,000 businesses being gutted and the biggest wealth transfer ever to Costco, Amazon, Walmart, all the stocks and everything? They kicked all the medium guys out, just obliterated them. So there is an order to this. Let's look at this. After these things, so you and I are waiting for the sixth seal to happen. After these things, I saw 4 angels standing. This is after the seal. Well, this is still before the seventh. At the 4 corners of the earth, 4 angels holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, on the sea, on any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, "Don't harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads." And I heard the number of those who were sealed, and this is contentious everywhere you look. 144,000 of all the tribes except for Dan. And so, and I don't know if he's the Antichrist, right? I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows, even with some indicated verses. But anyone who says that these are just Jews, they have to be wrong, because what would be so special about these Jewish people? We are believers. Why wouldn't we be sealed? We're the ones who are following the Lamb. So we're included. We have to be included. I can't understand why we are not destined to wrath. There's the answer. And I believe there's about 4 scriptures that say so. And in the Old Testament, there's many different hints through the minor and the major prophets about this day that we will be supernaturally protected. But we are not destined to wrath. Tells us you and I aren't going to go through wrath. So what's going to happen to us? So look, we're not at the 7th seal yet. So who is able to stand? The wrath is coming. That means you and I are taken out of the picture, whether up in the clouds at that point. Let's keep looking. Don't judge yet. Don't judge yet. After these things I looked, so the 7th seal hasn't been pulled yet. And behold, a great multitude, which no one could number. So all of a sudden, you and I fall into, we're not going to be destined to wrath, because wrath is coming. We're not destined to it. That no one could number, of all nations, tribes, who are all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues. So it looks like there are people from all over the world. Who could these people possibly be? They're believers, of course, clothed with white robes, palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, "Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb." All the angels stood around the throne, and the elders and the 4 living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne and worshipped, saying, "Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom, thanks, giving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and ever. Amen." Then one of the elders answered, saying to me, "Who are these arrayed in white robes, and where did they come from?" And I said to him, John said, John the Apostle, John the Revelator, "Sir, you know." He said to me, "These are the ones who come out of the great tribulation." What is the great tribulation? The seals. We just went through all the seals and came to the 6th seal, and all of a sudden the sky recedes, blah, 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 right? The wrath has come. So we made it through the great tribulation, washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore there, before the throne of God, serve him night and day in his temple. He who sits on the throne will dwell among them. They shall neither hunger any more, thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any heat, for the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them and lead them to the fountains of living waters. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Sounds good to me. So I just read to you that the angels from the four corners and the angel from the east, they're going to seal us, right? Then this matches up with Matthew 24:29. So we go from Revelation 7 to Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation, the seals of those days, this is Matthew 24, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light. See, this matches with it. The stars will fall from heaven. This is the sixth seal. And the powers of heavens will be shaken, and the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. Then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. This is also Zechariah 13 or 14. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with great power and glory. He will send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. Wow, doesn't Thessalonians say trumpet and we're not talking about the last trumpet. There are two verses that talk about, specifically about another trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds from one heaven to the other. Actually, you know what? That could also be the last. That's where it kind of gets a bit odd, but keep following me. I believe this is different. Then in Matthew 24, I think this would be 21. For there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time. No, nor ever shall be. Unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, they will be shortened. What does that mean exactly? I saw it in a different way before. That there's just going to be so many people killed that he's going to have to shorten those days, or his own people wouldn't survive. That's the way I thought. But no. That means he's going to take us away at a certain time, just for us, for our sakes. And we have to find exactly when that is. And in seeing that, it's hard not to see. I understand at the last trumpet, right? But I'm going to get into at the last trump. I understand you're probably thinking of that in your head. But you have to go back and understand that we are not destined to wrath. And if that word has been spoken, then it's been spoken. It was spoken in the Revelation and by Paul. So Paul and John both said that. We are not destined to wrath. That means we're protected somehow. And we know for certain that wrath begins at the sixth seal. That means you and I have to endure. The end of our endurance will be when it comes to that wrath in the sixth seal. That's why I say we're waiting for that earthquake to happen. For the sun, the moon, and the stars to turn, black as sackcloth, not give its light. Give whatever it is, 1/3 of its light. I'm looking at something I wrote to someone. I was excited. What do I say? When you look at Thessalonians, Paul says we don't precede those who have fallen asleep, but it doesn't mean it occurs at the very last day. The entire point is the last day for us is the sixth seal. He cuts that short for us. If we're not destined to wrath, that means it's very important to separate wrath from tribulation. The question is, what is he going to do for us to protect us? Let's read a bit more. Look, this is what I never saw before. I heard it so many times that, it'd irritate me when I'd see it from pre-trib believers. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, and the voice of an archangel. It's going to be with the trumpet of God. What is that? I only thought there was one verse about the trumpet of God, but it turns out there isn't. And the dead in Christ will rise first, then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet them in the air. That's called the rapture. So you can't contend that that's the rapture. We meet him in the air then. Does it happen at the sixth seal? If we're not destined to wrath, what else would happen? and thus we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore comfort one another with these words. This is not the last trumpet. This is the trumpet of God, not the angel. It's strange. We're also waiting diligently for the falling away. I believe the falling away has been happening for quite some time. That means in the church. We're waiting for them to say peace and safety for sudden destruction. But concerning the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly well that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains as a pregnant woman. And they shall not escape. But you, brethren, look, he's saying, but you are not in darkness, so this day shall overtake you. What does that mean? That we're so prepared we can make it through the pain that's going to happen? No, I don't think that's what it's saying. So I'm going to take you to one more, and there it is. I think I read that. It's in Matthew 24:29. So after we see Paul say, with the trumpet of God, it says, immediately after tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened. And it's pointing to the sixth seal, because that's what it says is going to happen. Stars fall from heaven, the moon doesn't give its light, the powers of the heavens will be shaken. The signs of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, like it says in Zechariah, whom they pierced. And they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds. We're going to see him coming on the clouds. After the sixth seal is what it's pointing to. Go reread the sixth seal, then reread Joel 3, then read Matthew 29 here. They're all the same. And it says in the sixth seal that all of this is going to happen. That's when the wrath comes. So if the wrath comes then we're going to be saved then. Look, power and great glory, and he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And they will gather his elect from the four winds, from heaven to the other. I'm going to look at one more verse, and that may be it. There's a lot of promise in there. A ton of promise in there. This is why you and I have to keep persisting, no matter what. When Paul says at the last trump, when I look at all the other evidence, and maybe I did put it in all in order. I should have put it in a so I didn't have to go up and then down and find them in there. I thought I did have them in order, to tell you the truth. But if you and I are not destined to wrath, they're making it very clear in Joel 3, in Isaiah, I don't know what it is, in Revelation, that, sorry, there's another, I'm just forgetting it right now. Getting a lot of pain. I can feel it, my kidney stone moving. It appears to me that it doesn't appear to me, it says in the sixth seal that that's when the wrath is. Twice. So we know that's when wrath begins. And if we aren't destined to wrath, then why would we be rescued at the last trumpet? Unless he keeps us here on earth, supernaturally protects us, then he raptures us at the last trump. I don't know. There's a lot more evidence saying this. So look. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the seals. The tribulation can't go past the seals, because it says in the sixth seal, the wrath has come. The tribulation doesn't follow wrath. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened. The moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven. The Matthew 24 is the other one, obviously. And the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. All the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. That's the same one they were talking about. And they will gather together as elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Is that us? That is us. Because that's when wrath comes. Go compare Matthew 29, 24, 29, okay? All the way 29 to 31, and compare it to the sixth seal. Go look. You'll see the answer. You just have to look at those two ones. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, it's good to pray. You know how powerful a prayer is, right? People don't think prayers are powerful. I know they're powerful. I know they work. I started to do something probably in the last year. I'd never done it before that. You know, when you want to remember something, when it has to do with, well, it doesn't have to do with the Bible, but it's probably best then if it has to do with God. Have you ever asked in the Spirit, have you ever asked, Spirit, can you please help me remember that verse? Or help me remember this or that? And it comes like within 5 seconds, where you think it's impossible that you'd remember whatever it is for whatever amount of hours. I find that amazing. It happens to me. In the same way, who cares what other people think? Prayer does a lot of stuff. So please, people can pray for a long time and not be answered. And it's only for God to answer those. Who are we to tell God anything? You know, people say, why is there pain? Why is there this? This is the reason I don't like God. We're born. We're humans. That's all we know. There's something bigger than us. And people can't accept that that's something created us. And that something can do whatever the heck it wants. Do you know how lucky we are that we weren't born to suffer all the time? Just imagine if it was Satan instead of God. Isn't it amazing that it's love? And you know what? Personally, not psychologically, when I have a lot of irritability because of my abdominal pain, multiple different types, I find the feeling of love very difficult. Really difficult, because you're so irritable. And yes, I have other issues too, I do. But I recognize that's pretty much the primary reason why I don't. I have my times, let's just say. And I have my hope for another good place. I know there's going to be another place, and I know it's coming soon. Man, there's a lot of hope in it. Anyways, prayers are powerful. Anything in the Spirit is powerful. Love that's what I wanted to say. Love will kill anything bad. We will go in a place where there's no one deceiving us, no narcissists, no people with evil plotting plans. And the things that God has prepared for us will be so past what we even think. Ice cream and who knows, man? I don't know. I think the book of Isaiah says that we will be building our own homes and tending our own stuff. I'm serious. That's what Isaiah says. So, I wanted to show you one more thing. People who don't think that we are supposed to celebrate the Sabbath day, Why would it say this if this is in the future? But what of those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days? Those days. And pray that your flight may not be in winter or when? On the Sabbath. And you're going to say, well, this could be 70 AD. Why would it matter? Because when John wrote this, Jesus had died already. So, anyways, I'm not telling, I mean, I would like to tell people to, I recommend celebrating the Sabbath day. Remember, it's a day for you and God. And at the beginning, I was kind of annoyed doing it. Like I said, I can't fully keep it because of all the things I deal with in my life, to a T, right? But to do something just you and him, a day of trying to relax or something like that, I do recommend that. Study. You use that day to study. You walk away feeling better, you're like, I don't want to do it, but anyways, I find it as it gets better as you go along, and when it comes to that time when the sun goes down, then the feeling that you have inside you can't be, oh man, it can't be like that. It has to be like, okay, let's do this. Okay, let's light a candle. Let's start reading something. It's just the way I look at it. I do recommend it. I do recommend it because it's a commandment. And commandments, that was a special commandment, by the way. That wasn't just any old commandment. And you shall know God by keeping his commandments.